Zamfara Sharia Court revokes APC stalwarts bail. Zamfara government seeks federal government support on new agricultural program. Buhari making economy front and center of next level agenda. On business, federal government says proposed 2 trillion naira pension fund debt will come via bonds. On sport, Ibrahim Shehu Gusau lost first round in Abuja court for restraining order motion. And on the international scene, Palestinian president to take Trump's Middle East plan to UN. Welcome to Standard Voice Television News. I'm Samira Ibrahim. Now the news in full. The Upper Sharia Court sitting in Samaru, Gusau, Zamfara State has withdrawn the bail it granted to 2 stalwarts of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC who have been standing trial for various offences. While Alhaji Ibrahim Malikin Gidan Goga, who is the APC publicity secretary in Zamfara, was charged with making statement capable of inciting public disturbance, Alhaji Bello Gamji, who served as a commissioner in the administration of ex-governor Abdulaziz Yari, was with kidnapping and cattle rustling. The 2 politicians were granted bail last week, but the court, however, revoked the bail on Thursday following the suspension of their sureties by the Zamfara state government. Mr. Justice Hadi Sani said since the district heads of Kanwa and Bakura, who stood as sureties for Maliki and Gamji, had been suspended by the state, they were no longer qualified to stand as sureties for the defendants. The judge ordered that the 2 politicians be returned to the prison custody pending when they will produce new sureties, who must be district heads. The judge ordered that the 2 politicians be returned to the prison custody. The lead prosecuting counsel for the state, Aliyu Gusau, had earlier urged the judge to revoke the defendant's bail on the grounds that the district heads who stood as their sureties had been suspended. In its bid to boost more agricultural production in the state, the Zamfara state government has demanded the support of the federal government for the involvement in the new introduced massive agricultural mechanization program. The state governor, Dr. Bello Mohammed Matawallan Maradon, MON, made the request when he received the Minister for Agriculture and Rural Development, Alhaji Sabo Nanonu, who paid him a courtesy visit at Government House Gusau on Thursday. The governor, who was represented by the Secretary to the State Government, SSG, Alhaji Bala Bello, Sarkin Kudu Maru, said the new agricultural program the federal government is going to embark upon will give the state a plus considering its agricultural recognition. The SSG stated that the state needs the federal government support in the new innovation considering the economic backward being experienced by some people in the state who happen to be victims of banditry, kidnapping and rustling. The SSG said the administration is aware that this new program that the federal government introduced was designed to empower stakeholders in the agricultural sector, and in this program, 10,000 beneficiaries are selected to benefit in 6 years in the selected states. Alhaji Balabella said that the 3 states from the Northwest geopolitical zone were supposed to benefit from the program, out of which 2 states has been selected to remain one, which we need the federal government to consider Zamfara State as the 3rd one. He stressed that when Zamfara State is considered in the program, a lot of people could be rehabilitated from the losses they have incurred on banditry and other crimes. The SSG, while thanking the minister for considering Zamfara State as the first on the scheduled tower across the country, also maintained the appeal of considering Zamfara in the new agricultural mechanization program. Earlier, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Alhaji Sabona Nunu, commended the state government in its positive initiatives, particularly on agriculture, and said his visit to Zamfara is to inspect grains reserved, which are the foundation of the food security in the country. The minister said there are a number of grains reserved across the country and Zamfara State happened to be one of them, adding that the state, considering its importance, was considered for the visit under the Ministry of Agriculture. Alhaji Sabona Nono said Gusau is known for its agricultural potential despite the problems encountered on banditry, but is of the belief that the government has virtually overcome the problems and peace had been restored, and that is very important for the country in its agricultural sectors. The minister further said the federal government is embarking on massive agricultural mechanization, which will be of the benefit of up to 632 local government areas attached with processing centers of about 140 across the country. He maintained that the basis of service centers is to provide brand new tractors fully equipped to have an IT office that will monitor the tractors, and stressed that the federal government is going to guarantee the loan for financing the tractors, and we want the people from the local government areas to own the service centers. The Katsina State government has said it will continue to evolve workable strategies towards tackling banditry, kidnapping and other nefarious activities orchestrated by bandits in order to restore peace in the state. The state government therefore assured the people of its doggedness in fighting the scourge and other forms of criminality to end bloodletting in the state. The special advisor to the state government on security, Mr. Ibrahim Katsina, disclosed this on Thursday when he led other government officials and senior security officers on an advocacy visit to the Emir of Katsina, Dr. Abdul Mumin Kabir Usman, at his palace. He noted that the state government is committed to putting an end to the carnage and other security challenges bedeviling the state, hence the meeting with the paramount rulers. He added that government had put in place strategies towards finding lasting solutions to the current security threats, saying there is no hiding place for criminals in the state. According to him, without traditional institutions, we cannot go far in tackling insecurity, pointing out that security starts and ends with them. That is why we find it very imperative to partner with them to find lasting solutions to this menace. He said, with this partnership, there will be no hiding place for criminals in the state. The special advisor said the essence of this advocacy visit is to meet with relevant stakeholders to find lasting solutions to the problem. The problems we are having are community-based, and that is why we started with them. The special advisor added that effective protection of lives and properties of all residents is the fundamental constitutional responsibility of any government. As such, the state government will not leave any stone unturned in ensuring the safety of its people. Responding, the Emir of Katsina, Dr. Usman, charged security operatives and the government not to spare any convicted hoodlums in the state, irrespective of religion, tribal or political affiliation, to serve as deterrents to others. The paramount ruler, who was irked by the activities of bandits and kidnappers terrorizing the country, said only severe punishment for the miscreants will eliminate their heinous acts. While describing information dissemination as bedrock for security management, the traditional ruler urged his subordinates across the state to report suspicious persons or movement to security agencies for prompt intervention. Meanwhile, as of the time of filing this report, another advocacy meeting with the 34 heads of local government administration was ongoing at the Ministry for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, aimed at finding lasting solutions to banditry in the state. The Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola San, on Tuesday concluded a 2-day inspection tour of the ongoing highway projects in Niger State, stating that President Muhammadu Buhari was making the nation's economy the front and center of his administration's next-level agenda. Speaking at Bakoni Junction in Niger State, where he was briefed on the progress of work on the dualization of Jeba, Mokwa, Bokani Road, Section 2, Fashola said the president, in making this decision, has chosen the development of infrastructure as anchor to achieve economic growth more quickly, adding that the passing of the 2020 budget in the first week of January was a clear indication of that decision. The minister told hundreds of residents of Mokwa community who trooped out to welcome him at the site, told them that the president has been very clear in his commitment to build infrastructure. Babatunde Fashola said, from the first day of the year, we already have a budget in place, pointing out that it has not happened for a budget to be in place in January in Nigeria for a long time. Underscoring the readiness of the government to pursue the goal, Babatunde Fashola, however, advocates the cooperation of the communities hosting infrastructure projects across the country, saying nothing will be achieved without the cooperation of the communities by way of peace and readiness to cede portions of their lands through which road project must pass. The minister, who noted that the present dry season, which according to him is expected to last for the next 5 to 6 months, was the best time to work and make progress on the road projects, said the cooperation of the people will be paramount in order not to lose the advantage provided by the period. He told the community members, this is the dry season weather when we can do a lot of work if the community cooperate with us, adding that although the president has directed that states hosting federal road projects should handle all compensation issues, the federal government could always come back and deal with such issues. Governor Adamu Pintiri of Adamawa State has approved the sacking of 5,000 workers employed by the previous administration of All Progressives Congress of Jibril Bindau. The salaries of the civil servant had been stopped last year over what the state government called improper employment and transfer of service. The fate of the civil servant was finally sealed as the State Executive Council endorsed the report of a committee the government has asked to regularize employment and transfer of service in the state. On Wednesday, the State Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Umar Pila, announced their sack after a meeting of the State Executive Council at the Government House, Yola. Mr. Pila advised those employed between September 2018 and May 2019 to seek fresh employment, saying the government no longer recognized them as its employees. Mr. Pela said the report of the committee shows that there were irregularities in their employment process. He said the government will ensure that regular processes are followed, which is in line with the rules, so that they could be employed and regularize their process. A former lawmaker representing Kaduna Central Senatorial District in the National Assembly, Senator Shehu Sani, has regained his freedom after spending 4 weeks in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). Alhaji Sani, who was arrested and detained for alleged extortion and bribery, was released on Thursday after perfecting his bail conditions. The Anti-Graft Agency arrested the ex-lawmaker last December for failing to honor several invitations over allegations that he extorted $24,000 from the chairman of ASD Motors, Alhaji Sani Dauda. The EFCC alleged that Sani extorted the money from Dauda to shield him from an ongoing criminal investigation. Operatives of the EFCC also searched his residence and office in Abuja. Alhaji Sani, a fiery critic of the government, has consistently maintained his innocence. He was charged with 2 counts, bordering on advance fee fraud and bribery with the intention to bribe the EFCC chairman. He pleaded not guilty to the charges. The former lawmaker was on Monday admitted to bail in the sum of 10 million naira by Mr. Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court, Abuja. The judge directed him to find one surety who must own a landed property within the Federal Capital Territory. Governor Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State has approved the appointment of 40 special advisors, SAs, and 100 senior special assistant SSAs. The Secretary to the State Government, Babale Yawuri, made the disclosure at a news conference in Birnin Kebbi, the state capital, on Thursday. After the maiden meeting of the State Executive Council held at the Council Chamber on Thursday, all the Executive Council members have resolved to work together to support Bagudu in achieving the desired result for the development of the state. Mr. Babale Yawuri said Mr. Bagudu has also assigned portfolios to the newly appointed commissioners in the state, adding that the position and appointment was with immediate effect. Some of the commissioners are Ramatu Gulma, Ministry of Justice; Ibrahim Augi, Ministry of Finance; Alhaji Kangiwa, Ministry of Water Resources; Khalil Gidado, Ministry of Youth and Sports; Rakia Ayuba, Ministry of Commerce and Industry; and Mahmoud Awara, Ministry of Information and Culture. Kano Road and Traffic Agency has confiscated 28 cartons of illicit drugs worth 30 million naira. Karota, under the leadership of Baffa Babba Dan Agundi, raided a store along Airport Road by Murtala Muhammad Way, where the drugs were kept after being brought into the state without National Agency for Food, Drugs Administration Control, NAFDAC registration. According to a statement issued to newsmen by the agency's public relations officer, Nabilu C. Abubakar Kofarna Essa, the seizure came after intelligence report by men of the agency that uncertified and highly abused man enhancement drugs were smuggled to the state and stored by some expatriates. The agency, which is part of the state task force against drugs abuse and supply of hard or contraband drugs, raided the said house on Wednesday, in line with its mandate to get rid of any of such products. Managing Director of Dan Agundi warned that the agency will continue to do everything necessary and within its jurisdiction to prevent irregularities and breach of law and order on the state's roads. We'll be right back after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
Menene amfanin gari idan har babu zaman lafiya?
Mecece jiha idan babu shugaba mai adalci? Mecece rayuwa idan ba yanci?
Me amfanin karatu idan har ba aiki?
Menene muhimmancin zabe idan babu roman demokradiyya?
Menene amfanin tarihi idan har ba za a samu darasi daga cikin sa ba?
Jihar Zamfara da can ta kasance a bar sha'awa. Gashi kuma sansanin noma da kasuwanci.
Gurin da kowa ke sha'awar zuwa. Amma sai abubuwa suka juya.
Amma sai ya kasance yanzu da zarar an ambaci sunan Zamfara, tunanin wata musifa da ko bala'i shine ke darsu a zakatan mutane.
Baki suka daina zuwa, 'yan gari suka fara guduwa. Talauci da tashin hankali suka yi yawa.
Gashi jihar mu mai haske ta dawo ta yi duhu.
Sa'annan mutanen Zamfara sai muka tashi tsaye, muka kama addu'o'i da tuba ga Ubangijinmu.
Sai kuwa Allah ya amsa addu'an mu, sai ya kawo mana matawallan muradi.
Dodon makiya zaman lafiya, dodon talauci, dodon makaryata da masu yaudara.
Me yi kuma dan Allah, me kishin mutane.
Me kuma neman gwamnati ba dan kansa ba.
Cikin kankanin lokaci sai gashi ya dawo mana da hasken Zamfara, amma ta fi yadda take da.
Wannan shi ake nufi da shugaba.
Jarumi ba malalaci ba.
Ma'aikaci ba barawo ba.
Allah ka kare mana zababben gwamna matawalin maradi.
Allah kuma ya ƙara masa lafiya. Allah kuma ya ƙara ɗaukaka.
Wannan saƙo ne daga gwamnatin jihar Zamfara ƙarƙashin jagorancin Bello Muhammad Matawallan Maradun MON kuma bardan ƙasar Hausa.
Welcome back. On business, Rita has more details.
Welcome to Business Desk. The federal government has disclosed that the 2 trillion naira it intends to borrow from the current 10 trillion naira pension fund to finance development of infrastructure will be truly bonds. According to a source in National Economic Council (NEC), the funds could be deployed as bonds, which could bring returns when raised and invested. National Economic Council said this is better than allowing it to lie idle. It explained that it is not free money, but acquire through investment as bond. It is not like the federal government will just dip hands into the pension funds and begin to spend the 2 trillion naira. He said, when it is raised and invested, it means the private sector can access the money, use it for investment in infrastructure. There will be returns on investment, and the principal can be recovered as well. So the process continues, as against allowing the pension money to lie idle. The pension fund was contributed by both workers and the government as stipulated by law. He made known that the committee decision was in line with the Pension Reform Act 2004, which empowers the government to borrow 20% of the fund to address national issues. The disclosure was made at the National Economic Council meeting presided presided over by the Vice President, Yemi Osibanjo, in Abuja. RFI said the funds could be used for infrastructure such as rail and power projects. He said the committee had identified 3 areas, rail, road and power, where the pension funds could be invested, and restated that the borrowing could be done through bonds with private companies investing in road and rail infrastructures and paying within a period of 20 years. And that is all for business news. I'm Ogwa Rita.
Thank you, Rita. On spot, Abu Sufyan has more details.
My name is Abu Sufyan Bakar and I welcome you to Standard Voice Television Sports Room. As usual, I bring the sports updates. Engineer Shehu Ibrahim Guso's motion for a restraining order against the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development was on Wednesday rejected by an Abuja High Court. Guso had approached Justice Oti Agbaza of the FCT High Court in Jabi, Abuja, for a restraining order against the Sport Ministry, the Sport Minister, Mr. Sunday Dari, substantive AFN President Olamide George, Nibeyoku, the Secretary General, and other parties, but the judge declined to entertain his motion. Rather, the court adjourned until March 4th of this year, when the preliminary objective raised by the ministry will be heard. The ministry's application is seeking dismissal of Guso's case by challenging the court's jurisdiction in a case he filed against the respondents. Guso, who declared autonomy from the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development at the Congress of the Federation, which stakeholders declared illegal and a breach of the Constitution guiding its activities. Prior to the declaration, aggrieved board members had at the Federation's meeting in Abuja forced Guso to step aside while George acted as president upon conclusion of investigation of sundry allegations on the running of the Federation. The panel turned in its report on Thursday last week in Abuja and recommended the prosecution of the then suspended Guso. This was after a panel of the Nigerian Olympic Committee NOC asked him to go and face the panel set up by the Federation and ruled his declaration of autonomy for the AFN from the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development to be out of order and impossible because the ministry is the supervisory authority for National Sports Federation. Former Super Eagles captain Kanu Nwankwo has backed Garnet Road to continue as coach of the team, adding that it will be a wrong move to relieve the Franco-German of his duties with the Nations Cup and World Cup qualifiers looming. The 66-year-old has 5 months left on his contract with the Nigerian Football Federation, while the likes of Segun Ogbademi, a former captain of the Super Eagles, have called for a local coach to replace the 66-year-old. The former Arsenal star disagrees with that. Kanu was also optimistic that Nigeria will book a place at the World Cup in Qatar 2022. He also added that he is certain the current Super Eagles team is good enough to compete with any other team in the world. And that's all we have on sports today. Back to the newsroom.
Thank you, Sufyan. And on the international scene. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to press UN Security Council in February about President Trump's Middle East plan. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas will raise the issue of U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East plan with the United Nations Security Council in February. Palestinian leaders have denounced the plan, which they say extends Israel control over their lands. Riyad Mansour, Palestinian envoy to the UN, says he hopes the 15-member group will back a draft resolution on the issue. Al Jazeera's James Bass has more from the United Nations in New York. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Zamfara Sharia Court revokes APC stalwarts bill. Zamfara government seeks federal government support on new agricultural program. Buhari making economy front and center of next level agenda. On business, federal government says proposed 2 trillion naira pension fund debt will come via bonds. On spot, Ibrahim Shehu Gusau lost first round in Abuja court for restraining order motions. And on the international scene, Palestinian president to take Trump's Middle East plan to UN. That has been the news. On behalf of the production crew and Head of News and Current Affairs, I am Samira Ibrahim. Wishing you a pleasant time. Keep watching Standard First Television News. Goodbye.